just rewind over here for a bit. Just right off the bat, I had to redo this panel like 3 times. Well, I had to paint it 3 times, and it was all because of a big mistake right from the get-go. I should have just not ignored it. I should have just gone and taken care of it from the beginning. But that's because I thought the primer and the paint was going to take care of it. As you can see here, there's some really what seems just like surface rust, but those pits on there, they're a lot deeper than I thought. Obviously I had to redo it because the primer and the paint did not cover it the first time. So I decided to just go ahead and sand it down instead of using the blaster. I didn't want to use the blaster. I used the orbital sander. This panel here, the scalp vent panel, is really thin. It's almost like tin. So the last thing I wanted to do is just blast away with it with the blast cabinet and just risk warping it or damaging it even more. So I did think about it. It would have been a lot faster, a lot efficient, but it's just, this is really thin, so I didn't want to risk damaging the part or anything like that. It's like I said, it's just real thin metal, and I didn't want to take my chances in that area. So I just went ahead and re-grinded everything down, sanded everything down, obviously being careful around the edges. So this is where we left off the second time around. Alright, so check this out. Big mistake on my part. I pretty much oversaw it. I pretty much ignored it, and I'm paying the price for it now. So this panel, I don't know if you guys noticed, but when I was first sanding it down, it had a lot of surface rust on it. I did see some pitting on there, but I didn't think too much of it. I figured the etching primer would take care of it. That clear etching primer would take care of it, which it did not. So once I started polishing this with the turtle wax and just trying to shine it up and trying to make it smooth as possible, when the glare from the sun was hitting it from the side, I was able to see all this right here, all this little pitting here, and it was really bugging me, and I really hated the fact that I was gonna have to redo this all over again. And I sat on it, I was just thinking about it, and there's one thing I hate about body work, and that's the reason why I really don't do body work, is because the sanding. And so it was really bugging me. So I just went ahead and just knocked off all that paint again. And I didn't want to film it, record it, because I didn't want to take too much of the viewers' time. So I pretty much just the same step, used the orbital sander and just or the DA sander, and just knocked it all off. But yeah, if you guys if you guys are working on a panel like this and it's got some surface rust, just don't ignore these little pittings. I thought the primer and the paint was gonna cover it, but nah, it didn't cover it. So yeah, I'm gonna go through a few different steps this time, and I'm gonna show you guys on how to just pretty much just to get rid of these little pits on here. So here we go. Alright, so I already went ahead and pretty much wiped this down with some well, I sanded it down with 220 and wiped it down with some acetone, and we're gonna go ahead and spray this self-etching primer. That way the primer that's gonna go on top of this here sticks to it very well, and then we'll go from there. So here we go. Alright, and there it is. I did 3 real light coats on this. That's what the bottle recommended, no more than, or the spray bottle said it didn't recommend no more than 3 coats, just enough to cover the surface. So I could still see some of the pitting on here. It's kind of hard to tell, I don't know if the camera's capturing it, but there's definitely some pitting that's still showing. So we're gonna go ahead and spray this one right here. It's a 2-in-1 primer black, and this is pretty much a filler. And the guy at the paint store, he said that if that filler primer doesn't cover up the little pits, then I'm gonna have to go with some putty. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply 2-3 coats of that primer filler, and then I'm gonna go ahead and sand it down with 400, with grit 400. That's what's recommended, and hopefully it's not gonna show those pits. If it does, then we'll just go ahead and putty it and go from there. So Here we go. All right, so it's been a good 15 minutes. You gotta wait. You gotta give it anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes for it to dry before you apply the other coat. And I think I might have forgot to mention it, but make sure you're wearing a breather mask for paint. That's exactly what I'm wearing right now. But yeah, so now we could go ahead and apply this. It's been like about a good 15 minutes. Alright, and that's the final coat for the primer filler. And I really don't see any of those fittings anymore, but I won't be able to tell until I sand it down with 400 grit. So I'm gonna go ahead and wait for 20 minutes before I can sand it down. That's the time it needs for it to completely cure. That way we could go ahead and sand it. All right, we're at the final stage, finally. So yeah, I don't see any of those pittings anymore. So yeah, definitely that 2-in-1 primer filler definitely took care of it. I did ran a wet cloth like this just to see the reflection and to make sure that there isn't any of those little pittings on there. I definitely don't want to redo this all over again. So if I don't get it right this time, it's going to the shop. But yeah, I took my time on it. Definitely looked at the glare, made sure that there's no kind of pitting, no kind of flaws whatsoever, instead of just going and just kind of like taking a chance with it. So yeah, this time definitely it's gonna work. So here we go. And there it is, the final touch. Man, I'm really happy how it came out. Now I could go ahead and store it till the car is ready. I feel happy with this. I'm comfortable with the way it came out and looks. I don't have to polish it, I don't have to wax it or none of that stuff. So right quick, I want to go ahead and share this with you guys. So these here are some of the products I use. I did have to redo the panel 3 times. The first time I redid it was because it had all those pittings. That was the first time. The second time was because this one here left like a texture, and I'll get into it right now. So this is the first one I did. I didn't like the finish on this one, but I didn't redo it because of this. I was able to fix the finish when I sprayed this one here. It left like this pretty rough film on top of it, but I was able to fix it with some wax and some paint polisher, and I was able to fix it. The problem was that the first time it did show some pitting on here from that rust, or what I thought was just surface rust. It didn't cover it. So that was the issue I had the first time. Now the second time I had to redo it was because this one here, in my opinion, is just straight garbage right here. It kept leaving like blotches and real thick spots, thin spots, and it was really rough, and it just left a really ugly, nasty finish to it. And so don't buy this at all. This is garbage here. And so after that, I started doing some research, and I found this right here, good old Rust-Oleum. This left a nice even finish to it. It's a nice matte finish to it, but it's not like that primer look either. And it's got that finish on there too, so I don't have to polish it, wax it, or put any armor on there like I did with the other ones. And yeah, this one came out really good, nice and smooth. It's already dried up, but I'm gonna leave it out in the sun a few more days. But yeah, I highly recommend this one. And I guess what has a lot to do with this, the tip too. If you look at this one, the tip on this one, it's gonna obviously leave that some shadows, some clouds on there. This one has a more like a fan tip to it, and this one here has the same tip as that one. So but yeah, this one's straight garbage, man. I mean, I don't know why this guy sold me this here. I'm gonna have to take it back and try to see if I can get my money back on that one. Not just straight garbage. But this one, I wouldn't recommend either of these for this kind of project, for a panel like this. I would definitely recommend the Rust-Oleum. Definitely. As you guys can see, it's a great, nice finish on there. There's no shadows. There's I don't have to wax it. I don't have to put any of that armor off. So there you go, man. Third's a charm. So I almost gave up on it. I said if I didn't get it right the third time, I was just gonna go ahead and take it to the shop and let them deal with it. But got it down. And again, I thought it was me. It wasn't me. It was actually the products that was being sold to me. So that's just another battle. I gotta take these back and see if I can get my money back or whatnot. But go with the Rust-Oleum. Can't go wrong with that. All right, guys. So thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys watching and keeping up with the build.